Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's Dave Neal here on this February 3rd, 2025, Monday afternoon rush. I've got all of your stories for your drive home. First, we're going to cover Bachelor Clayton Echard receiving a big win in his sort of case that he's got against Laura Owens, the lady who's accused him of being the father of her unborn twins, which, of course, was completely made up. Also, we've got Chappell Roan and what she had to say about the power of saying no and the power of being able to walk away from a deal. Of course, she won the Best New Artist last night at the Grammys and always gives fantastic advice on the power of detachment. I'm also going to share the new Bachelor, Grant, and preview for tonight's episode of episode 2 of his new season of The Bachelor. But the thing you guys all want to know, the story that's dominating it all, the chunk of our podcast will be Justin Baldoni's lawyer speaking out after a sort of moral victory following today's hearing that they had for their upcoming trial. I'll share what the judge had to say, what Baldoni's lawyer had to say, and now breaking news, what Blake Lively's lawyers have said. Will they be introducing new evidence? That's what I've said all along, is you're going to need more evidence than what you have. So is there anything else out there? Check some Ring camera footage. We'll get into that. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about the Mexican tariffs, the Canadian tariffs, and this really affects us as North Americans. You know, most of our audience is in North America. What's this going to do to gas prices? What's this going to do to automotive, groceries, things like that. So we'll discuss that. And then 60 Minutes has some educational clips about what really happens when there is a tariff. I know there's a lot of information out there, so let's get down to the truth. All right, I got all those stories and more. Stick around. It's all coming up next on The Rush. All right, let's start with some mindless nonsense for you guys before we get into the heavy stuff. Here's a preview for week 2 of Grant's season of The Bachelor. It's starting to get dramatic.
I'm here to find love, and I'm already starting to develop feelings.
We're going to be going head-to-head in a game of basketball.
I'm going to forfeit and steal Grant.
This is not a basketball game anymore. This is war.
Can I steal you? Can I just steal him?
What is your problem?
I shot my shot.
I feel bad. I'm not used to giving my attention to multiple women.
We have feelings. We have emotions.
I cannot stop crying.
I just want to let you girls know I am done.
All right, that's coming out tonight. There's a trade war happening on The Bachelor, to use terms we're picking off of the news. Let's see if they're going to tariff that ass. All right, what? 25%. I don't know what that means. All right, anyhow, also in Bachelor news, breaking news from Clayton's Justice page, the Twitter account. Now, look, we got 25,000 new subscribers on the channel. If you guys haven't been following this, trust me, get educated. Bachelor Clayton Echard was accused of being the father of Laura Owens' unborn twins. She's the daughter of a Hall of Fame radio broadcaster, even though she kind of lives in the back house of her parents. She's faked medical evidence to say she was pregnant. The judge ruled against her. And then afterwards, the judge said they wanted to recommend her for prosecution, for investigation by county prosecutors. Well, now one of her fake stories where she claims she was abused is now being removed from dasasme.org. I didn't even know what that organization was, but she still has her story on TEDx. One of the men she accuses of domestic violence, actually, he's got a second baby along the way, and he's had hell to deal with because of her fake claims and restraining orders that she's made against him. Of course, they've threatened me with a $100 million lawsuit for discussing this. I know it's crazy numbers, but that's why I'm bringing it to you guys. Not only do we have Instagram, Twitter, but also Reddit. Justice for Clayton it's called JFC, Justice for Clayton on Reddit. So you can go check out all of that information. I'll post a link in the comment section if you're new to this, but we're going to be on top of this story as she's going to try to file lawsuits against us. She tried to sue us for harassment. She tried to get a restraining order on me, but we are hell-bent on sharing this news. We are protected not only by free speech, but by the truth. All right, speaking of protection by the truth, here's Chappell Roan speaking to CBS last night about how brave she is to share her truth. Of course, last night she shared on the biggest stage of her career that she's not afraid to call out the studio executives for not providing a livable wage and health insurance to up-and-coming artists. She received a standing ovation. People cried. They saw someone who has the power and ability to burn her own bridges, standing up for what's right. Here's what she had to say.
Where does your confidence come from at such a young age and at such a young time in your career? I'm blown away by it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I think because I have walkaway power. I know that is kind of controversial for me to say on the Grammy carpet, but I actually think that's like why I am calm about stuff. It's like this is year 11 of being a signed artist, basically. So I've been doing this for a long time, and like also I've had no money, and I've also had a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
I like how
not
you
a lot. Sorry, not a lot.
No, I like how you said I have walkaway power.
Yeah.
But I like that. I know exactly what you mean, because for many people, we just heard about you in the last year or two, even though you've been working at this for a long time.
Yes.
Does your life feel like it's on a rocket ship right now?
It did last year.
Yeah.
It felt like I was seriously not okay at the end of last year. Like I was just, my adrenal glands were just shocked. And this year I feel so much better. I think I just really needed a rest. And now I think that's why I'm so calm.
Wow, good for her. So if you're new to the Chappell Roan fame, I mean, just during the pandemic, how about this clip? Here's Chappell Roan during the pandemic performing in front of what might be about 40 people. And now we know she's got the biggest audiences at Lollapalooza. Now, she had some audience there. Maybe it was 80 people. But she's singing her song Pink Pony Club before she was glammed up and kind of became the bigger version of these creative masterpieces that she has. Look, she's an example to all out there. Build equity in yourself. Know what your worth is and don't get pushed around out there. And if you're in a position where you are getting pushed around, it's because you don't have the equity to walk away or tell someone to go F themselves and do what is right for you. So whatever job you have, wherever you want to go in life, keep working dang hard at it so that somebody else doesn't get to decide your fate. That's what it comes down to. No one's going to pull the rug out from Chappell Roan. She's got enough of an audience. She can go perform anywhere she wants for the rest of her life and be able to make money. It's the 1,000 fan principle. That's all you need out there. So for all the new people that are out there, we discuss complicated stuff, but I also have to share my message with you, which is the world is yours and everything that is in it. You can achieve and do a lot, but it's not going to be on someone else's dime. You got to build that equity first. No one's going to pay you to write your first novel. You need to get out there. I call it leap in the net will appear, and work hard and do stuff that you love like Chappell Roan did. And the thing that she built cannot be destroyed by studio executives, which gives her the power to walk away from them. Amazing stuff. All right. Well, do we get into the Justin Baldoni stuff? Today was the day. I've made 3. This is our 4th video talking about it today, and we keep getting new breaking news. Justin Baldoni to Blake Lively, you can't shut my lawyer up. Well, kind of. So the judge basically didn't tell the lawyers stop talking, but the judge is taking note that there is a lot of funny business going on. So Justin Baldoni's calling this a legal win, and of course his attorney is calling it a legal win. But I'm going to share what the judge is saying and what the other side is saying. Have a listen first. I shared this on the last video, so if you were catching up on that, you're going to get this 45 seconds again. Have a listen to this, and then we're going to come back with some new information.
Respect Judge Lyman, and we're really looking forward to moving the case along as quickly as possible. Our clients are devastated and want to move the case along as quickly as possible, and we just couldn't be more pleased with how the case was handled today, how it was managed, and we're going to move as quickly as we possibly can and prove our innocence in a world where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance. And we're going to change that. Thank you.
So there it is. He says, we're going to change the fact that people might judge you before giving you a chance. And as we know, when Blake Lively's New York Times article came out, there was no thought that Justin Baldoni was going to come back from that. That was like, Falcons versus the Patriots, down 28-3. But is Justin Baldoni the Tom Brady? Does he have enough ammo in the 4th quarter to make a comeback? So far, yeah. I mean, he made a comeback, and now he's probably got 90% of the audience on his side. I'm watching curiously as we share as much information as we can. We've yet to see that smoking gun from Blake Lively's side, an HR complaint that happened at the time of the incidents, text message threads, timestamps. We're only seeing things later on when it was leveraged against her, but we've yet to see that. Will new claims come? Let's take a quick break. I'm going to be back with what Blake Lively's side may do next. So we've got Brian Friedman, attorney for Justin Baldoni, saying, hey, this is great for us, blah, blah, blah. Well, not exactly. So per Deadline, which again kind of had a real biased article pro Blake Lively, calling Justin Baldoni's evidence one-sided, even though, of course, it's just him refuting things that were already in the news. Well, now we've got this breaking news story that Judge Lehman was not happy with the amended complaint timeline attachment that, of course, Justin Baldoni released to the public, but also in the court documents. And Lively's lawyers will move to strike it. Even if granted, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So yeah, that's an idea that maybe what they did was more of a PR stunt, even if it doesn't make the final court case. So here's what the judge said. Judge also made it sound like he thinks the 168-page attachment timeline to the latest Baldoni complaint violates federal court procedure since it's basically a narrative. He pointedly said to Friedman, you can't just attach a factual narrative to a complaint. Judge Lehman went on to ask Friedman, what is the purpose of that attachment? Adding later, you can't just give me a whole bunch of documents. Lively lawyer Gottlieb said he's going to move to have that document stricken, a move that looks pretty likely based on the judge's skepticism in court today. So again, that just goes to show the PR moves being made out there to say, hey, we understand this won't end up being a part of the court, but now it lives in eternity online, just like the New York Times article does as well. Well, here's the response. And again, credit to citizen journalists here for sharing this. Breaking news, per Deadline, Lively's team is clapping back and plans to file their own amended complaint. To that, the Wilkie Farr and Gallagher LLP partner said Lively and Reynolds may be filing an amended complaint of their own, a filing that could include new claims, he noted. What's interesting about this is there were talks of other victims that Justin Baldoni had harassed. So where are they? Very easy to say that you've got people on your side, but now with as much attention as that's on this case, will other actors and crew be willing to be a part of their behind the scenes sort of siding with Blake Lively? Because that's how fickle the industry is, right? You side with someone behind it. We've all had that from like a toxic friend. Oh yeah, that person did you dirty. And then you're like rolling your eyes like, oh no, you're the one who's dramatic. We've all been there. So put your money where your mouth is. Will these people actually present themselves? And if they do, it could be pretty damning to Justin Baldoni if there is any evidence that goes along with that. Speaking of damning to Blake Lively, here's a clip from Without a Crystal Ball from yesterday. Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against Blake Lively shares this clip as evidence of Lively's blatant disregard for the guidelines of the Sony and Wayfair. In the clip, Blake is at Book Bonanza, an event hosted by Colleen Hoover. She tells the audience that they will get to see the movie and admits that Sony didn't give them permission. Have a listen.
Brandon hasn't seen it, so we're gonna sit through it.
But
and
listen,
just know, it's literally, this is not a bit. It's literally not done. So to be honest, what really happened is we were like, we're going to show the movie, and the studio was like, no, you're going to show 20 minutes. So we're like, no, we're going to show the movie.
And the reason why you don't show the movie is because what if this leaks? What if someone gets a copy of this unedited, unfinished version, and then or like some weird thing happens and then nobody wants to see it? It could be the difference between a $30 million opening weekend and a $100 million opening weekend. The difference between a rough draft and a final draft when it comes to a movie is night and day.
They're like, it's not done. And I was like, they don't fucking care. It's true. They're like, if everything's not perfect and it's not done, and what if we're going to change things? I was like, these are the people who authored the success of the book. Like, you guys are what matter. And like, you guys seeing the movie is like so important to us. So...
It is an early cut, and yeah, we're so excited. And like busing 2,000 people to a movie theater sounds like a chaotic nightmare. So I just need you all to be excited and patient. This is a huge honor. This early, so we want it to go well.
I literally brought the movie.
She admits to smuggling a hard drive of the movie on an airplane, defying Sony's demands. Okay, we're going to dive into this because there's probably more to this story. So hold on. We'll get into more of that in a future video. But this information could be presented in court to say, look, she didn't have contracts to do this. She was operating outside of her scope and things like this. I mean, it's pretty wild stuff. All right, let's get a comedic take. Here's Whitney Cummings and her thoughts on why she thinks Blake could use more female friends.
All right. After watching quite a few of Blake Lively's resurfaced press junkets, I mean, I truly threw my neck out cringing. It's just it's so hard for me to watch. And what I will say is, number one, I don't even blame her at this point. I blame all the men that laughed at her awful jokes and gave her the impression that she's funny, and listened to her boring ass stories that gave her the impression that she's interesting. She got the proof that she was killing somewhere. I don't know where. If you have to end most of your sentences with "that was a joke" because you have no idea how to talk to girls, it literally just "it was a joke, it was a joke, it was a joke." No, if it was a joke, we'd all just be laughing.
If it was a joke, we'd just all be laughing. All right, there it is, folks. So yeah, no, it's an interesting take by Whitney Cummings here, because there is this thought about how did Blake Lively evolve to be who she is? And is it because she's surrounded herself with toxic people and mean girl energy, or there's still the grace you could have for her that, I mean, she's the victim of Ryan Reynolds and his, maybe Blake was trying to play both sides of the coin, be a good actor, be on the project, but also have a super jealous husband. We really don't know. But again, this is the speculation you can expect for a good long while. Very interesting story. All right, we're going to be back with a new segment we called Tariff Talk. Hey, before you click away, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. It's all of our money and the inflation and the world economy. It all depends on things that are happening right now in the world. It's a scary time. Let's sift through it. We'll be back with that next. So as we spoke on the morning episode, there is a tariff on Canada, and Canada has a tariff on us. That's what the trade war is. When you start putting random tariffs on each other, it helps nobody, right? And there was also a tariff on Mexico, which has been paused for 1 month. Fans of or supporters of Donald Trump are saying, see, this shows that his process is working. The stock market didn't take a massive dive, although if we look at it right now, overnight it was down several points, which is a big deal. But as of right now, it's kind of taken a soft little dip. But, that's because the Mexican tariff didn't end up going through. It still is down a little bit, though. The Dow is up, but the S&P is down. But again, check on your local news because this changes. But here is the Mexican president discussing this 1 month pause on the tariffs.
We
had a conversation with President Trump.
At the
end, he asked how long we could put the tariffs on hold, and I told him, let's put them on hold permanently. He then asked, well, for how long? I responded, let's pause them for a month, and I'm confident that in a month, we will deliver results for both his people and Mexico.
So this, of course, is seen as a win by Trump, and they talk about the fact that because of the threats of tariffs, they got 10,000 troops to the border, which sounds like a lot. But this whole idea about we're going to stop the flow of fentanyl is really interesting because most drugs come through legal ports, legal points of entry. The port at Long Beach, all the different, normal, through a lot through airplane travel. So it's not just people jumping over a wall with bags of fentanyl. So how productive is this? Yet to be seen. But here's, in addition, Real News No Bullshit reports, in addition to committing troops to the border, Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, said she secured a commitment from the U.S. to work on preventing the trafficking of high-powered firearms into Mexico. Trump did not mention this in his own statement. And that's what's interesting because, everything we're seeing now is PR. Is this a victory for the American people? I talk about the collateral damage that is done even by threatening tariffs, because now what you're having is all of the other countries getting together, thinking about how they're going to strategize against the U.S. That's never a good thing. How can you work with your allies? That's what's important. The Canadian tariffs still going through. I don't see those stopping anytime soon. The Canadians have a ton of energy oil, gas that we use. They've got a hell of a lot of products, including they're the number one, I believe the number one importer of American domestic alcohol. They drink a lot of beer. So if that beer shift moves to Canadian made, it's going to boost their own economy. They're going to realize, oh yeah, I really didn't need that Bud Light, did I? So it's a very dangerous place to be if you're an American company. Here's what Trump had to say in response to Canada possibly becoming the next, the 51st state of the country.
On Canada, when you talk to Justin Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you at 3 p.m. when you talk again to also secure a pause, like you said, with Mexico?
I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him, and you maybe know, or maybe...
By the way, did you see the guy in the background belly laughing? I mean, he's literally surrounded by sycophants.
We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting, and we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariff?
Well, we can always... Look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our, Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot.
Yeah, a long shot indeed. Listen, I don't know. You don't need, if they didn't have the tariffs, if they had free trade, it would essentially work as a state. Now, they wouldn't be, we wouldn't be getting, federal taxes and things like that for them. But I don't know. I cannot believe in 2025 this is a conversation that's actually being had. Here is a response by 60 Minutes about how tariffs actually work.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs.
But most any importer or economist will tell you the president is mistaken. Tariffs are not a tax on a foreign country. The tax is paid by the importer in the United States. For example, Walmart imports goods from China, and when those goods cross into the United States, Walmart pays the tariff. If Walmart decides to pass the cost to consumers, then you paid the tariff.
Not China. So yeah, I mean, and in most cases, a portion of that cost will be passed on to the consumer. Might not be the full 25%, but with companies already maximizing their corporate greed, it's like how much further can we push, pinch people's pennies? All right, here's another clip about tariffs and how on paper sometimes they work out, but these blanket tariffs can lead to an incredible sort of Cold War, a tariff Cold War.
The argument is made that if tariffs are imposed, American consumers will buy less of the foreign goods, more domestically produced goods, and that's a great thing for consumers and for jobs.
Well, it's a great thing for consumers if you don't care about how much they are able to buy, because the prices of everything they buy will go up. Will they substitute toward domestic goods? Let's just take that to start. Yes, to some extent they will. But the prices of those domestic goods will also rise because they no longer have to compete with imported goods.
Lovely's research estimates the tariffs Trump talks about would cost an average household around $200 a month.
Footwear, toys, home goods, certain types of machinery, certain active ingredients in pharmaceuticals, certain types of chemicals. we're still very dependent in certain categories.
And again, we'll see how this all plays out. You know, a lot of people are already claiming Trump won because the U.S. and Mexico avoided a tariff. But it's like, it's day one. It's day one of these new tariffs. We'll have to see how this all plays out. My guess is Canadians, our friends of the North, will not back down. And my guess is they will not concede a thing because they actually are a country that has a lot of great natural resources, and they're doing just fine. And while, yes, they will be hurt by these tariffs as much as Americans are, we'll have to see how that plays out. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. We're in the find out stage of fuck around, find out. And now, curiously, I wish this wasn't the case, but we wait and we see how it all pans out. But I'll be here to give you my honest take on the matter. I do think threatening tariffs can leverage something. Like I said a few weeks ago, it was a win for Trump with Colombia. They wouldn't take the migrants. He said, we're going to tariff you. They said, okay, we'll take the migrants. That was a win, but you can't just threaten that every single time. It loses its luster. So it worked for a month with Mexico, but did it really? It hasn't worked with Canada. So again, we'll have to see how this all shakes out. My guess is there will be concessions made, and Trump will seek moral victories in ending the tariffs, but they won't be actual victories. And I'll be here to call that out if we see it. And if I'm wrong, I'll be here to tell you that too. We might have more breaking news stories coming regarding the Justin Baldoni case. We really don't know. It's so much information's coming out right now. So stick around. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the alert bell so you get all those notifications. Otherwise, if you're on the audio-only version of the podcast, please give us a 5-star review. It helps elevate us on the charts, helps new people see what we're doing. And as you know, we continue to grow, that's good for you, the consumer. No tariffs on my end. You get this stuff for free. All right, that's it for me. Have a good one. We'll be back in the morning. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.